We welcome all of you who have joined us this evening. And of course, we are so pleased to have you with us because, again, if it's the last Thursday of the month, it is legal night at National Action Network. I'm Attorney Michael Harding. I'm General Counsel, Executive Vice President here at National Action Network. And for those of you that don't know, we're coming to you from the House of Justice of the National Action Network national headquarters. Our president and founder is the Reverend Dr. Sharpton. The chairman of our board is the Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, senior pastor at Grace Baptist Church in Mount Vernon, New York. Just a technical thing. I think if you turn your sound all the way down, we can get rid of that echo. Or are these mics off? Because I don't think we need this off, right? Yeah, so it's not the mic. All right. Anyway, sorry about that. The Zoom thing, we always have a little technical issue. Well, anyway, we'll keep it going. I'm sure.
Able to go to un celular.
All right.
Cargador.
Better. Yeah. Okay. That works. Whoops. Okay, sorry about that. Anyway, all right. So we're very pleased tonight. Among other things, we are going to have a very special presentation from Royce Russell, who's one of our member attorneys of the Legal Night team at National Action Network, and we so appreciate him. We'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a minute. As we do for all legal nights, we always introduce all of the attorneys that are part of the National Action Network Legal Night team. We just call their names off. Any of the attorneys that are with us tonight, and I see a couple, you can just say hello when I call out your name so that we know that you are there. I don't know how that happened. My video went off. Hold on. Sorry. All right. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. So, of course, our legal night team is Robert Bellison, Esquire, Andrew Burson, David Blum, Gary Certain, Kyle Edmonds, Jeff Emden, Barry Fett, and we want to thank Barry because she also helped participate during the convention this year. She was one of our live presenters for our special legal night. We thank her for that. Carmen Giordano, who also joined us live for our convention. We appreciate that. Pete Gleason, Ken Gilbert, Gabrielle Harbis, Ted Kessler, Glenn Myers, Kim Parker, Edward Pachado, Royce Russell, of course, who is our presenter tonight and also joined us on our convention special legal night. And we especially thank him for that. Joel Schmelkin, who also joined us for our special legal night at the convention. We thank him for that. Denise Service, Wiley Stecklow, who also participated in our convention's legal night, and Kareem Avessa. We always give note to all of the special people here at National Action Network that make the legal night possible. And of course, we always start with Ashley Sharpton. She's like our chief organizer these days, especially trying to bring us to all of you across the country. And we are so indebted to her for that. Patrice Perry, who's one of the main persons here at the House of Justice. She's also been working at the corporate office a bit and contributing there. We thank her. Winston Gilchrist, who's our videographer. Katrina Jefferson, who is our coordinator here at the House of Justice. She also on Saturday also comes to you with what what's on your mind, and we hope that some of you actually have some things on your mind for tonight. Arthur Robinson, who takes care of our facility, and David Robinson. We also always especially thank some of our crisis team volunteers, which is Brenda Dopp. We always give note of Maxine Lewis. Maxine has passed. She's no longer with us, but Maxine was really part of us when we started Legal Night. She was always here for us in every way, and we always give thanks to Maxine and always recognize her. Culver McCall, Derek Perkinson. Derek, should have mentioned you up front. That's what happens when you get older. But of course, Derek Perkinson. And Derek has been stepping in. As many of you know, William Allen took a leave of absence to work on his campaign. And so Derek has been making sure that our crisis work on a daily basis goes forward. And we so appreciate him. And of course, he's been standing in on Legal Night. Brenda Ricketts, who again is so invaluable to the effort for the crisis team here at National Action Network. We thank her. We thank our judges who were founding members of the Legal Night team and are now members of the New York State bench, judicial bench that is. And of course, that's J. Michelle Sweeting and the Honorable Sandria Edwards, and our lifetime member who sits on the New York State Court of Appeals for the First Department, the Honorable Tanya Kennedy. We want to also want to thank. We have a couple of guests that are with us tonight. Kendrick Hill, is that correct? And he's an appellate lawyer, and we want to welcome him. All right. All right. Well, you're all right. I'm not. You're giving me okay. All right. Derek is here, and Derek is trying to confuse me. All right. So, okay. And Tanya Kennedy, that's where I was at. And we want to thank her. As many of you know, there's been a lot happening across the country. Of course, all of us stood and watched and waited for that verdict in Minneapolis in the Derek Chauvin trial. And we now know that he has been convicted on all 3 counts of murder and manslaughter in that Minneapolis trial. And we now await to see what happens at the sentencing. Presumably, and according to the law, he can, the maximum penalty on the top charge is up to 40 years. But of course, we'll see what happens. But it's very, very significant that he was, in fact, convicted for having killed George Floyd. It's very important. And, you know, I have to say this. I have to say this. And many of you who are, wow, my video keeps going off. I don't know why. Okay. All right. Oh, it went off again. All right. I'm not sure why the video keeps going off for me. But, you know, I have to say, and, you know, rarely, because so many of us are always on the other side of the equation, and particularly many of us who have friends that have had children going through the system or our own children that may have gone through the system, you know, there's very little love lost for a prosecutor's office because particularly in many of our communities, they've always kind of been an adversary to our families and in certain situations. But, you know, I really have to say, and we've been involved in so many police-related cases, that I was sincerely impressed by the effort that the Minneapolis prosecutors prepared that case and prosecuted that case. Their witnesses were all well prepared. They knew how to talk directly to the jury that was deciding that case. Their experts were well prepared and also could bring it and make it understandable to the jurors that were having to hear and ultimately having to decide that case. And the Attorney General, Keith Ellison, the former congressperson who's now the Attorney General in Minnesota, and took the case as a special prosecutor, really did, and his team did a phenomenal job in getting that conviction. And we only hope that the sentencing reflects the work that the prosecutors did in highlighting the very serious nature in which Derek Chauvin acted in the death of George Floyd. And hopefully the court will reflect that in his sentencing. But I also tell you, you always have to be careful because, you know, we have seen in the past that these things can also be reversed by appellate divisions. There was a situation that we had here in New York State where a police officer killed a Honduran musician in the Bronx. A judge convicted him because the officer chose not to have a jury. He chose for a judge to try him without a jury. The judge convicted him based on the evidence that was presented during the trial, and the appellate division, and he was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Although that was not a tremendous sentence, it was still a conviction and a prison sentence for having killed Fermin Arzu was the victim in that case. And the appellate division reversed that case, and many say without good cause. And then the officer got the conviction vacated, although he still was removed from the department. The fact that the court vacated that case, he was able to get reinstated for 1 day so that he was able to get his pension. So, you know, these cases are not quite yet over. We again have to see what the court does in sentencing, and we'll have to see what happens on the appeal in that case. Likewise, in the Ahmaud Arbery case, I'm sure all of you now know that in addition to the state charges for murder, the federal government has come in and also charged him with federal hate crime charges. And so we will see how that plays out. But those defendants in that case, again, you never know what a state court is going to do, what a state jury may do, but there are federal charges waiting for them. And then, of course, there are cases still across the country from Dante Wright to Adam Toledo and others. And so the fight on this issue is ongoing. It's still directly in front of us, and something that we have to continue to be vigilant about. And for that reason, and we have always been making the call for everyone to support the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. You know, call your senators, because that act is now in the Senate. And we're trying to get that passed, because legislation is what can really make a difference here in the long run, much the way that the passage of the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, the Fair Housing Act, and others created a whole new field for justice as we came out of the civil rights movement of the 60s. So the work is still in front of us. We ask everyone to stay vigilant on that and always be ready. You heard Derek Perkison say that here at National Action Network's House of Justice, every Monday night is our huddle program. And Ashley Sharpton is the founder and chief executive of the huddle. And we invite all of you and your young folks to be here for huddle every Monday evening from 6 to 8:30 p.m. right here at the House of Justice. And I believe Huddle is now also live, so you can come in person to the Huddle, and you still have access online. So you could do it either way. Here for legal night, we have not yet come back to a live audience as we probably come back after the summer. That is something that we hope by that time, and clearly the vaccination levels and at that point the whole COVID situation, we are hoping to be able to be live fully back at the House of Justice. And again, we really have to thank Ashley Sharpton because it was Ashley who urged us in many ways during the pandemic to go virtual. And as a result of that, we have really broadened the participation in legal night. And even tonight, we're welcoming people from all parts of the nation, and in particular, some of our Washington, D.C., Nia 2X and her crowd in Washington, D.C. Is participating tonight. And so we certainly welcome them. Lastly, just in terms of programs, there will be an LGBTQ committee virtual general body meeting. That will be Wednesday, May 5th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. You can call National Action Network 877-626-4651 to get all of the contact information and the Zoom information for that meeting. The Zoom information, the meeting ID is 860-7525-7243. The passcode is 209314. But again, I don't think any of you would have written that down or remember it. So please just call the House of Justice toll free 877-626-4651 or go to nationalactionnetwork.net to get that information. Lastly, of course, and I don't know if I said this because we were dealing with some of the technical issues up front. Of course, our founder and president is the Reverend Al Sharpton. Chairman of our board is the Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson. And we really have to give them such great congratulations on the National Action Network's National Convention, again, which was almost probably close to 80% virtual. And as many of you know, we had everyone from the President of the United States to many of the cabinet leaders to highlights like Joel Schmelkin and our speaker tonight, Royce Russell. But we really want to give great kudos to our leaders here at National Action Network, Reverend Sharpton and Dr. Richardson. It really was a tremendous convention. And if I'm not mistaken, and somebody can correct me, I believe that all of those sessions, or 90% of those sessions that were broadcast during the convention, will be available to you on the National Action Network website, so you can go in at any time to click on and watch part of the convention. So with all of that said, we're going to get ready to bring on our special guest for the evening. I think he just stepped, oh, okay, there he is. We are pleased to have our dear brother, Royce Russell, to be with us tonight for our legal night presentation. For those of you that don't know, we always do our legal night basically in three parts. we do our presentation. We then do our Q&A. And normally when we are all here in person, we also try to leave time so that there can be some conversation with the attorneys. But Royce Russell is a attorney here in New York City. He's been practicing for several decades. He has tremendous focus in criminal justice work. He has been very prominent in this work, and he represented one of the very significant police misconduct cases here in New York City in the Romali Graham matter, and he represented the family of Romali Graham. He also has a best-selling book out. You can see it right behind him tonight, Cardiac Arrest. It's a tactical guide on how to handle unlawful police stops. And after all of that, Royce has also been a tremendous, tremendous friend, and we love him here at National Action Network, and we are pleased to welcome him tonight for our National Action Network Legal Night presentation. Good evening, Royce, and welcome.
Unmute myself. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate all the accolades, and thank you to the other members of Legal Night, the attorneys that are here present today. And thank you for all our invitees that have come in and joined us on this Zoom. I think, I have mixed feelings as to whether or not I really want to come back in person, because the Zoom just allows so many people to have access to what we do here in New York City. And the more people we can reach, the better. So I guess we may have to have two ways of having Legal Night in the future. One where we're in person, but then again, there is some Zoom aspect. And I'll see Ashley and Patrice at the huddle, as they say, soon come. So we are here tonight to discuss a topic which is near and dear to my heart and should be near and dear to your heart. I will not speak for long, because I do understand that the reason why people come to Legal Night is because they want to ask questions, they're trying to have certain situations resolved, and they're trying to make a connection with an attorney. However, you can't make a connection with the attorney without talking about this subject matter. And so for those that either read the flyer or didn't read the flyer, read the flyer and forgot the flyer, what the subject matter is about, it is called attorney-client relationships. And usually when Michael gives his presentation, when he introduces everyone, he says that any information that is disclosed during Legal Night does not create an attorney-client relationship. He puts that up front. The reason why that is important is because to have an attorney-client relationship, you have to do much more than to show up at a legal night. You have to do much more than just call an attorney and start having a conversation. Another reason why this topic is so important to me is because my past has revealed that many clients come to me after they have went to another attorney, and I will ask them quite simply, where's your paperwork? And the response is usually, the attorney has it. That is the wrongest response. What stage are you at in the case? I don't know. The attorney knows that. That is the wrong response. You should always have your paperwork, and you should always know where you are at in the process of your case. And I will discuss that further. So I'm looking at my notes. First thing I say is that this is the disclaimer that Michael brought up. When you call an attorney, and you're on the phone with that attorney, and that attorney is giving you what we will call a consultation, that does not create an attorney-client relationship. What that is an example of, it is an example of you having a relationship with an attorney, but it's not an attorney-client relationship. So Ashley Sharpton, Patrice Perry, Derek Perkison. These are people, and Joshua Kirchen. These are people that work for NAM. I have a relationship with them. I know them. I do presentations for them. We interact through the crisis call center. They may even refer cases. I have a relationship with them. I am an attorney, but we do not have an attorney-client relationship because the key word is client. They are not a client. So to illustrate this, I was watching, catching up during the COVID, Power. You know, Power is the 50 Cent TV show. So you had a lot of time on our hands. So I was catching up on Power. And one of the segments, the young man named Tariq was about to talk with an attorney. And in that scene, the attorney said, wait, give me $1. Tariq gave her $1. She said, now you're my client. Now you can feel free to talk. I wish it was that simple. It is not that simple because in that scenario, how do you distinguish attorney-client relationship from a paid consultation? There is case law that out there that says, and that is law that's written for judges to follow, that a consultation does not create an attorney-client relationship because there is no agreement. There is nothing written. There is nothing consummated. There is nothing saying what my obligations are and what your obligations are. It is a consultation. So although that scene was making a point that if you pay me money, then I will consider to be retained, and therefore you can tell me what's on your mind, that is not necessarily true. And we need to be mindful of that. So what makes the attorney-client relationship a formidable, bulletproof relationship where you can confide in your counsel, your attorney? It is a retainer agreement. When do we get to the retainer agreement? We get to that when you actually sit down with your attorney and he drafts a document, or she drafts a document that reflects the work that they're going to do for you. Let's say in a civil rights case, a wrongful death case, an excessive force case, the paperwork may say that I'll represent you and your family for a contingent fee of 1/3 and expenses, and you consent to that. You sign, I sign. That is the first step to attorney-client relationship and agreement. Now, what comes with that? You can talk freely. You see sometimes in the movies that at that moment, the client tells the attorney what truly happened or what everyone doesn't know. Well, when you have an attorney-client relationship, you should be truthful and all the facts should come out. Michael had mentioned that I wrote this book called Cardiac Arrest, a Tactical Guide on How to Handle Unlawful Police Stops. And one of the chapters just deal with who you will meet if you're ever processed, if you ever have the unfortunate circumstances of going to jail and having to see a judge and having to hire an attorney or have an attorney provided by the city or by the state. And one of the things I say is always be prepared. Be prepared. And so what do I mean by that? That means that legal night here, any other forum where you can retrieve an attorney's name and you can call that attorney and have him consult with you, know the area of law that they practice in. That attorney should be in your Rolodex, and that attorney should be on your refrigerator, as we used to do in the olden days. We used to tape it onto the refrigerator or put a magnet onto the refrigerator. The reason why that's important is because that is the beginning of an attorney-client relationship. And in the midst of panic, you want to know that you have someone that you can rely on, someone that you can call. And so when the crisis center refers you to someone like myself or or the other attorneys that are present. That is a baby step to maybe creating an attorney-client relationship. If there is a legal matter that the attorney decides to take on, whether it is pro bono for free or whether they're charging you a fee, it still should be consummated in a written document so all parties are clear. And that matters because, like when you see a doctor, you should never lie to your doctor and you should never lie to your attorney. You don't go to your doctor and say, well, doc, you know, he asks you if your heart is hurting, you say, no, my back. And then he works on your back and it's really your heart. You don't go to your attorney and lie and in hopes that he or she is able to get you out of a situation. But that only comes when there is an agreement and there truly is an attorney-client relationship. Let me just dispel one myth. If we have attorney-client relationship consummated in writing, I have a task, you have a task, and you tell me that you're going to commit a crime, that is an exception. That is where an attorney has the obligation to tell the police that you're about to commit a crime. They cannot co-sign to that act. They can't stay silent to that act. So please understand that. I'm not submitting that anyone here would do such, but you need to understand that if you're talking about any future illegal acts, the attorney who you have the attorney-client relationship with has an obligation to stop you or inform you that that is illegal. So please be mindful of that. One of the things that I often do when I enter an attorney-client relationship, and that means there is signed documents. I don't know, Michael, let me just ask, is Patrice still present on the screen? Because I need to share the screen and let me see. Oh yeah, she allowed me to share.
I'm here.
Okay, I can share the screen. Everyone bear with me. I'm just gonna share the screen real quick. Boom. I think it's important to illustrate this matter. Let me go back.
You showing off for Erica Ford on TV, Royce.
Well, you know, I got to do what I got to do here. You know what I mean? Okay, let's go through retainer agreement and let's go. Let me see if that's one. Let me see if that's where I want to go. Yes. All right. So let me drag down. Okay. Can everyone see this?
Yep.
Great. This is part, and this should be part of your retainer agreement when you have an attorney-client relationship. It is the statement of client's rights and responsibilities. And I'm not going to go through this whole document because I said I would be brief in my comments. This is food for thought that the audience can have, and we can get to your questions on maybe very other serious matters or something that you want to share with us that we can resolve. But I will go through a couple of points and I will circle a couple of things. In the first paragraph, what is important in that paragraph, and you should have this, and you should make sure that you get this, is that it says that to prevent any misunderstandings between you and your attorney, please read this document carefully. Far too many times, there are misunderstandings between the attorney and the client. Why so? Because one party doesn't fully have an understanding of what the other party's doing. And usually it is the client that doesn't have the full understanding. So how do you get the full understanding? By having a statement of client's rights and responsibilities, which tells you what you're responsible for and also tells you what your attorney is responsible for. If you go to the next paragraph, it says he or she should readily available to represent your best interest and keep you informed about your case. That is speaking to the lawyer. The lawyer should be readily available to represent your best interest and to keep you informed about your case. It is ridiculous and irresponsible to go to another attorney and say, I don't know what's going on with my case. Now, it may happen, and that may be a reality, but the litmus test when I speak to clients is, what have you done to get an understanding of what's going on with your case? So if you want me to take over, I know where I need to start. But you only know those rights and are aware of those rights if you are given a statement of client's rights and responsibilities. So you know what I'm supposed to do, and I know what you're supposed to do. Then I'll jump down to one of the paragraphs that says, you are entitled to an attorney who will be capable of handling your case, show you courtesy. That's important. That is extremely important, because we know in our community that many times law enforcement are discourteous. And I know from my experience of being an attorney in court, I see the heated arguments and discussions between the attorney and the client. And no matter who's right and who's wrong, courteous should be at the forefront of everyone's mind and consideration at all times. The job is to represent you zealously and preserve your confidence and secrets that are revealed in the course of the relationship. So that is highly important. That is something that an attorney must hold at high esteem. We are not there to abuse anyone, and you shouldn't take abuse. The next paragraph speaks to you are entitled to a written retainer agreement. So if you have a consultation with an attorney and you walk away with no written agreement, then you know that that was a consultation. You know when you're in an attorney-client relationship when you have a written agreement. And so you really need to take that under consideration when you speak to attorneys and you describe your case to another attorney, or when you describe your case to the person that you're having a consultation with. One of the other paragraphs speaks to you are entitled to a full understanding the proposed rates and retainer fees before you sign a retainer agreement. That's how you know you're in an attorney-client relationship, when you have to deal with fees. Now, I would say to everyone listening that if you are assigned an attorney in a criminal matter or in a family court matter, you are still obligated, or you still have the responsibility to hold that attorney up to the professionalism that they need to present, irrespective of whether or not they're charging you. All right. And this one right here, and I'm going to try to highlight it and hopefully people can see it. It is important. You may refuse to enter into any fee arrangement that you find unsatisfactory. That is important because it is a relationship. That's what we're talking about. It is not a one-sided relationship. It is a full relationship where both parties play a role. I'll say briefly before I end that in this statement of rights and in my retainer agreement, so you understand, it speaks to a lot of what the attorney has to do. But there is a whole section that speaks to what the client has to do. And one of the things the clients have to do is that we can agree to disagree, and that's fine. But you have to leave the legal work to me. And if there is a clause, which often there is in my retainer agreements, that says, do not go on social media. Do not go on Instagram. Do not go on Facebook to discuss your matter. That is highly important, because the next page after that says terms for which I can withdraw as an attorney. And like I said, this is a two-way street. In terms for which you can withdraw as a client, you can fire me. Clearly, you can fire me if you don't like the work I'm doing. But what a lot of people don't realize is that the attorney can fire you for the work that you're not doing. You need to have skin in the game. And the way you have skin in the game is that if the attorney is telling you not to do something, then you need to listen. And if the attorney is telling you to do something, you need to also listen. A lot of people think that the attorney-client relationship only works one way. It is not a one-way street. It's a two-way street. And so if you leave with nothing else, leave today that attorney-client relationship is a two-way street. You get and you give. And if you're not getting, then that's a problem. And if he or she is not giving, that's also a problem. So I want to thank you for allowing me to present to you today. If we have any questions on this particular subject matter, I'm sure there'll be a time to talk about that. And if you have any questions on any other subject matter, that's what we're here for. Thank you, Michael, and thank you for those that attended.
All right. Thank you, Royce. And we're about to come to all of you. So get your questions together. If you have questions, particularly for Attorney Russell with regard to his presentation, we'll try to take those questions first. We already have a lineup of people who are asking questions. Just before we take the questions, I do see two of our Legal Night team members. Just want them to say a very, very, very quick hello. Ken Gilbert is with us tonight, and want to introduce all of you to Ken. And Ken, you want to just say hello to all of us?
Good evening, everyone. If there's any questions on criminal law, looks like there may be also Russell can answer those questions as well, but I'll be around if you have any questions about criminal law as well. But I appreciate everyone who came tonight, and have a good evening.
All right. Thank you. Joe Schmelken, hello, good evening, and welcome.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks everybody for showing up tonight. And Royce, thank you. Really great presentation, because that's really important. People have to understand that the lawyer really works for you, and the lawyer should never take advantage of you. And you certainly, as a client, have to respect the attorney. It's got to be a two-way street. I think, Royce, you hit a lot of good points on the head. Thanks a lot for your presentation.
All right. So again, this is our segment where it's question and answer. Again, as Royce indicated in his presentation, simply participating in a discussion and question and answer sessions with attorneys does not create an attorney-client relationship. So just keep that in mind. Also, we always tell people, because when you're involved in disputes, in litigation matters, in any legal situation, normally there's someone that is an adversary, and you may not have very high regard for that person, but just keep in mind that this is a public forum. So we always ask that you just speak to your issue. Be careful of what you say about anyone else, because you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're saying something and somebody can potentially try to say that you defame them. So be careful. Also, we always tell everybody that if you just beat someone up on the corner and then you hit them with a stick, please don't confess to that in this forum. Certainly let one of the attorneys know that you want to be able to reach them so you can speak privately with them. And just on that note, you can always, again, call the toll-free number 877-626-4651, and we can put you in touch with any of the attorneys that are with us tonight or that are part of the Legal Night team. And occasionally the attorneys that are with us will sometimes put some of their information in the chat so that you know how to reach them. So first up tonight is Linda Green. And Linda, there you go, unmute yourself. And I believe you have a question for us. So it's all yours.
I actually had two questions, one for myself and one for my daughter, who's still at work because she's a postal carrier.
Okay.
For myself, I am interested in opening and starting the business of casting. I'm an actress, and I even did some work down there at the National Actor Network with I can't recall his name right now, but anyway, I want to get an LLC, and I wanted to fill out the forms myself. So I come to fill out the forms, and I didn't understand the part in the form where it says to name the registered agent. And they said that the registered agent is a Secretary of State, and they want you to give that the Secretary of State's name and the address. And I'm like, okay, who is that? Do they mean like the President, Secretary of State? So I was confused about that.
No, the Secretary of State would be the Secretary. If you're doing this in New York State,
Yes.
they would be referring to the Secretary of State for New York State. And you can just go online to the New York State website, and you can get the information with regard to the Secretary of State for New York State.
Okay. And the second question is, my daughter wants a divorce, and she's coming across a same problem, like filling out the forms and certain things she didn't understand. So she called the Bar Association. She called all the places to, like they used to have it at court where they had the divorce center where they would help you fill out the forms. And so they no longer do it. So she's been calling around to fill out the forms because she can't afford a lawyer. She can afford a lawyer to fight the case, and she has to necessarily fight the case if he should give problems. But she just wants to fill out the forms and file them herself. So she was looking to see if where do she go to just have someone assist her to fill out the form. Because she does have the money saved for the fight, but she doesn't want to waste that money to fill out the forms. So we having a problem with that.
Anybody want to give some quick information on that?
I just got here. My name is Chanel, but I know that I'm having a similar issue with having to fill out forms, and I was just told to do like per se filings and look on the court website to look for different like packages, like docket packets with information.
Oh, you
Can't hear you.
You just got muted. Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
So I was just saying that there's information on courts' websites or like whatever court you're dealing with, you can go on their website and they have like per se information and docket packet information that you could use to help you fill out the information. And also I would just suggest reaching out to different attorneys, like just researching and asking them for information. They can help you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that is true. And New York State does have a website. First, let me say two things. One, if you call here at the House of Justice in the morning, we can certainly connect you with some of the domestic relations attorneys or the attorneys that work in that area. But generally speaking, the information that Chanel gave is very true. In New York State now, and I do not practice in this area, but in New York State now has uncontested divorces. They did not have that until a number of years ago, because in the past in New York State, you had to actually have a reason, whether it was abuse or adultery or things of that nature in order to get a divorce. Now you can get an uncontested divorce. The New York State Supreme Court website does have a section that gives you basic information with regard to getting a divorce and some of the information and even some of the forms that are connected to that. And of course, if it's an uncontested divorce, then yes, the cost of doing that is certainly not as significant as if it's a contested divorce. And of course, it also depends on the level of assets each of the party has. But you can get a lot of that initial information from the court's website. And you just, when you go to the website, you literally can just either type in the search for divorce information or divorce matters, and it'll pop right up for you. But if you go to the website, you should be able to navigate to that section. But again, you should give a call, 1-877-626-4651, and someone from the legal team someone from the crisis team, excuse me, will be able to connect you to some of the domestic relations attorneys to answer more detailed quesents.
Yeah, because we did.
If I can add one more thing to Chanel and Michael's comment.
We do have the forms. We went to the sites. We had the forms, and that's the problem. She doesn't know how to fill them out. She doesn't understand the legal, the wording and stuff like that. She was able to fill out a few of the forms, but I'm confused about what it all means.
Okay, understood. We'll address that. Okay. Royce, were you going to say something?
What I was also going to say is that what she can do is you can try to reach out to a variety of law schools, Brooklyn Law School, CUNY Law School, if you're in the state of New York. And sometimes they have clinics. They have clinics of students that work in those areas. They have criminal justice clinic. They may have a family law clinic, and they may be even more equipped because there's a professor that they're working with to be able to answer some of those questions.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, that is a excellent suggestion.
Thank you so much.
And again, of course, if all of that fails, again, you can always call the crisis center, and they can try to facilitate and help in that manner.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate your help.
All right. Next up is Brittany Rod. I don't know if I said that last name correctly, but Brittany, you still with us?
I'm here. Yes, I'm here. How are you?
Rogers. Okay.
Rogers. Yes. Yes. I'm trying to get my camera to work. So I'm trying to make it quick, but it's kind of not really a quick thing. My daughter, who is white, goes to a predominantly white school. However, I do have a biracial son, which is her brother. And the kids at the school know about him. And now she is experiencing a lot of bullying, a lot of racism. I have been dealing with the school since January. And it has now, they kept telling me that it's a he said, she said. They don't have proof. They can't look into it. She received screenshots over the weekend where they're calling her the N-word. They're saying things about her brother. She took it to the school first before I had sent an email. And they're now telling her, trying to say that this is a freedom of speech, which I call BS on. And I think that they're really just trying to bury this situation, and I'm ready to make this much bigger. And so I'm trying to figure out how to advocate for the other kids of the school, for my daughter, for my son, who will eventually be in the school when he gets older. And I'm just looking to see, the superintendent of the district now wants to speak with me, and I just need to know what's about to come and what I should expect, because I'm ready to fight this.
Michael, I can maybe answer that question.
Okay, great.
For Ms. Rogers, let me ask you this. Is this a New York City school, a private school?
No, we live in Pennsylvania, and I'm having a really hard time finding a civil rights lawyer in Pennsylvania.
Okay. Let me just tell you about New York law. Pennsylvania is probably similar, but I don't practice in Pennsylvania. I do have colleagues in Harrisburg and Philadelphia. I can make a recommendation to you, but I handle bullying cases as well. And let me tell you what you really have to do. When you have a public school, for the public school to be responsible, you've got to put them on notice. Generally speaking, it's within 90 days where you file what's called a notice of claim. In New York City, for example, it's against the City of New York, as well as the Board of Education, Department of Education of the City of New York. Then you have a lot of certain procedures which follow, procedurally speaking. But before that, you've got to really establish a track record. So it's very, very important that you meet with the guidance counselor, that you document specifically what the problems are and what it is that they have told you, had promised you was going to be done. And generally speaking, I see this with bullying cases all the time. You have a child that's being picked on. Maybe the child's a little smaller than the other students. Mm-hmm. He's being picked on. The mother goes to the principal, says all sorts of things. This is happening, that's happening. The principal says, well, don't worry, we'll take care of this, we'll take care of that. A special relationship is in fact forming. And thereafter, what happens is they just hang you out to dry. And then one time the child really gets injured. You're establishing a track record beforehand. So if God forbid something happens in the future, you've laid all your cards out. In this particular situation, it's very, very important. again, write letters, have conferences, document these things, and at the same time, put them on notice that this behavior is not going to be tolerated. Again, in the city of New York, we have certain procedures. Public schools in Pennsylvania, I'm sure, are the same things. If you want, give me a call tomorrow morning. I will give you the name of one of my colleagues. Are you closer to Harrisburg or Philadelphia?
Closer to Harrisburg.
Give me a call tomorrow morning. My telephone is area code 212.
Okay.
227 8865.
Okay.
And I'll put you in touch with good civil rights attorneys.
I've been documenting these are emails since January.
Good.
I did put them on notice. I told them that I want to see all of her investigation notes. I want to see every claim, write-up, statement she's made, what they did in their investigation. I told them I want to see their resolution notes as they closed everything out.
You have various rights, and I can help you with one of my colleagues, as I said.
Thank you very much. I will call you tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay.
Let me just add, before you engage or while you're engaging with them, make sure you understand the school's policy and what they're supposed to do, right? That they're not doing. Whether there's supposed to be a suspension of the student that's doing the bullying, or they're supposed to, the student's supposed to be put on notice. The more you know about what the school is supposed to do and they're not doing, the better position you'll be in.
Yeah, I have pulled board documents. I've been going through them. I pulled their student code of conduct. I highlighted all of that and shared and picked all of that apart in email. They don't even want to address the students. I've requested parent meetings. They refuse to allow it to happen. They say, nope, there's not enough. Because they keep saying it's a he said, she said thing.
Yes, that's all that's from the chat. Let me ask a question, Brittany, really quickly. My name is Derek Perkinson, the interim national crisis director.
Yes.
Have you reached out? We have 4 steps in crisis. Have you reached out to any local elected officials in that district?
I have not. I have recently started talking to DeRay McKesson. I used to work with him because I work for Baltimore City Schools as well. So I used to work with DeRay in the past. He and I have actually been talking about this, and I think we're about to go with it. But I as he's doing his thing on his end, I wanted to seek legal.
Okay, listen here. I have 2 pieces of information, advice. You have Joe Schmelkin. You have his number. I also put it in the chat. I want you to check your local elected officials as well. And also, you in the school, you say you work for the school, so your union should be helpful in this situation also to get a meeting. The least they could do is get a meeting for you.
I work in a Maryland school district. My children go to a Pennsylvania
school. A different district. But check out the local elected officials first. You call Joe. Joe, keep me abreast of what's going on there. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, Kendrick Hill. Are you still with us?
Yes. Kendrick Hill. Good afternoon. How you doing? You can hear me?
Excellent. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. I've had joint custody of my son since 2012. So since 2013, me and his mother never really went by the court order. From 2013, my son been living with me and my family in Mount Vernon for the last 8 years. So since April 7th, my son been missing while I was at work. She happened to go to Mount Vernon. His grandfather let him downstairs, and I haven't seen my son for 3 weeks. So I went to the precinct with the court order saying I was supposed to get my son since Sunday and Wednesday. They saying that they still can't help me. I've been calling ACS because my son was going to school in Mount Vernon. He been missing school. ACS went to a house. They said that they still can't help me. I just went to the courts yesterday and put in a petition for show cause and a petition about custody. But I want to know how can I get what other ways can I get in contact with my son? And he's been living with me and my family for the last 8 years, and now I haven't even spoken to him in 3 or 4 weeks. I've been texting his mother every day. What legal advice can you guys give me for that?
Yeah. Now, I presume that he may be with the mother of the mother of the child.
Yes.
Yeah. So you may. Have you spoken with her?
No, I haven't spoken. She has my number blocked. I've been texting every day. Can I speak to my son? My son called me last Saturday He's 11 years old. He said because he was left in the house, and he had to unblock my number. So that's how I just spoke to my son last Saturday.
Is she also in the same county? You're up in Westchester County?
Yeah, I
So
live in
she-
Westchester. No, she lives in the she lives in the Bronx.
So, well, was there ever you said you've already filed in the family court
Yeah, I just did that yesterday.
in Westchester or in the Bronx?
No, in the Bronx.
Okay. Did you file order to show cause or just?
Yeah, I did a order to show cause, and I did a petition for custody and visitation because he was staying with us the last 8 years. But only paper that I had was from 2012 that said we had joint custody. So when I took her to court in 2012, I was trying to get custody for my son, but it didn't go in my favor. So we just did joint custody. But since 2013, for the last 8 years, he's been living with me and my family. So I was trying to take my son off her public assistance case because she said she was going to take him off the public assistance case because he's been living in Mount Vernon with me and my family. I went to public assistance on April 7th, showed him all the documents that he'd been going to school in Mount Vernon, showed that he was on my mother's lease in Mount Vernon. The lady from public assistance said she was going to move him off the case. I work in the Bronx. When I went to work, after I left the public assistance, she went up to Mount Vernon and took my son. And I haven't seen my son ever since April 7th. So now.
Hey, Michael, I saw Jeffrey Emden looking to be admitted into the room. So I think he might be a great contact for him.
I'm in the room. Can you hear me?
There he is.
Oh, there he is.
But I didn't hear the beginning of the question, but you can contact me.
All right. Well, the beginning of the question, Jeff, is that his son has been, you said 8 years now?
Yeah, it's been 8 years since 2013.
Yeah, his son has basically been living with him for 8 years. They had a original court order, but as it turned out, the son just was staying with him in Westchester. He went to work. Apparently, the mother of the child came, took the child, and he's not seen him since. He did file a order to show cause in Bronx Supreme Court. That's where the mother is, and you can take it from there.
Okay. Do you want to contact me? I can give you my phone number in I guess in the chat room, and you can give me a call and we can discuss what your options are. Because I need I need some more information with respect to what has gone on the last 8 years and what steps you should take and what you can expect to happen. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna put your office number in the chat for Mr. Kendrick.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
His name is Jeffrey?
Yes.
Jeffrey Emden.
All right.
I was just trying to do that.
All right. Okay, so next up I have Ajay. Are you still with us?
Hello, my name is James Ezel. I am with Mr. Ajay.
Oh, okay.
How are you tonight?
I'm great. How are you?
Okay, Mr. Harding, we left you a package at the NAN convention. We're calling tonight because Black and brown homeowners are being systematically discriminated against through the judiciary in the state of New Jersey. We have multiple court cases stating that an assignee seeking to foreclose must have a recorded, authenticated assignment of mortgage and a chain of title before initiating a foreclosure, indicating that it was assigned the mortgage note. This is a result of the national mortgage settlement and also because of a Judge Glenn Grant's administrative order from 2010. As we know, the national mortgage settlement was brought about because of the documented irregularities being presented in foreclosure and bankruptcy proceedings. This practice still continues to this day. So let me not take up so much time, but to say, I've heard a lot of criminal attorneys speak tonight or saying and telling us that when a criminal matter comes before them or if their client is going to commit fraud or commit a crime, he has to report it. Well, sir, why isn't the judiciary reporting a crime when I'm showing them that I have forgeries on my title, and the attorneys that are putting these forgeries on my title has been put on notice that it's a forgery. The persons who appear on my document were named in the economical crime report by the state of Florida Attorney General. Furthermore, we've taken $74 million in a settlement to protect all people, not just whites, but black and brown people. I've been in the court system for 13 years. Not once has an authenticated recorded assignment been put on the record. My case went for 6 years before an assignment was even put on the record. I had a judge to reopen my case after the Office of Foreclosure, who was tasked with stopping this practice, and after an administrative order from the Supreme Court of New Jersey stating that they had to go back and correct these deficiencies. Rather than correct the deficiencies, when my case was closed for not doing what they were supposed to, they wrote a letter, a notice of motion, and instead of filing the actual motion, they filed a letter saying to the judge, you should not have to follow the Supreme Court of New Jersey's standing of what they said you must do to comply. This judge opened my case without having a recorded, authenticated assignment of mortgage, and then to cover up her crime, when they filed, I called the CFPB, who is tasked with overseeing the national mortgage settlement for the whole United States. Rather than her recognize that an error had happened, I go into court, I show her that I was induced into a fraudulent modification by an individual who did not have standing. And even after agreeing to pay this individual, they started foreclosing while I'm making the payments. While making the payments, they served me an amended complaint, not to where I live, but to my wife in Alabama. And when they did it, on top of the fact that they mailed it, they never gave a return date. Later, they then acted as if nothing has happened because they were violating the National Mortgage Settlement and the Dodd-Frank Act for filing dual tracking. So the Financial Protection Bureau stated, okay, Mr. Ezel, you've been approved for this modification in September. In November, they filed violating Dodd-Frank in November 26th. They don't serve me. They waited until I made my second payment in 2000. If that was February, the first payment, the second payment was in March. They started foreclosing again with an amended complaint in order to put the assignments of mortgage that were never introduced as evidence showing that they were the rightful party. And the assignments of mortgage they used were forged. The assignments of mortgage, I got the University of Alabama to help because I have 2 kids there. I'm a person with disabilities. I called them up. I left my state in order to get help. And somebody's phone is on. And when I left this state, I went to Alabama. The handwriting expert reports came back. The state of New Jersey, the judge said, you need to go back. We're going to send you.
Some of you might have to mute because you've got some background sound. Not you, Mr. James. You're muted, James.
Okay, I'm here.
There you go.
Okay, when I filed, the judge in the bankruptcy violated my rights, sending me back to New Jersey because the handwriting reports came out indicating that the notaries that appear on my assignment signature had been forged. When I went to the University of Alabama to get assistance, they said, Mr. Ezel, did you call the Secretary of State? Let's check the notary signature. The national mortgage involved fraudulent documents. The same day she ordered the notary signatures from Louisiana. My grandson signed one and your grandson signed the other one. We put this on the record. The judge sends me back to make a finding of fact in New Jersey. And in fact, when coming to New Jersey, I brought this up in the hearing because I had no judgments against me. Again, the Office of Foreclosure did their job. Once I brought it to their attention that a previous order to show cause literally says in the verified complaint that JP Morgan Chase did not own my loan, that they were only the servicer. Had the court just read the very documents that they tried to allege they served me in 2013, which they got my case closed for because they didn't do it, and because she let them open the case, she would have saw that JP Morgan Chase admitted they didn't buy these loans. Mr. Kosler, who you speak about, whose name appears, is 24 of us. In his case, they filed a foreclosure 55 days before having a recorded and authenticated an assignment. And they have not authenticated the assignment to this day. Gentlemen, I'm going to close in saying to you, in most recent opinion from July 1st, 2020, indicates the standard for foreclosing in New Jersey. An assignee seeking to foreclose must have a recorded, authenticated assignment of mortgage in the chain of title. In all 26 of these cases, no one has one. I've been to the prosecutor. I've been to the attorney general. The attorney general is putting us off because he took $74 million. He's not wanting to give us an answer. I went to the Department of Discrimination for the state of New Jersey, shown how the court has violated my constitutional rights by not giving me the same equal protection under the law. I'm not here asking you for advice. I am well read and well understanding how I've been discriminated against. George Floyd died for a $20 bill that no one can say if he made the bill, got the bill from a different bank. I am here telling you tonight that I have JP Morgan Chase, who's paid over $1 billion, almost $100 billion or better alone for filing fraudulent and misleading documents in bankruptcy and court proceedings. And it's a standing order with the OCC as of today. And it's another one with the Department of Trustees who sued them for $50 billion. They have violated it. They just, when I did another QWR, just admitted again that the mortgage note being used against me in court with a blank endorsement that didn't show up until 2015. The first one was introduced by another attorney representing JP Morgan Chase when they reformed my mortgage illegally. That note did not have an endorsement in blank anywhere on it. After they did that note, in order to establish standing, because they knew the New Jersey Supreme Court had ruled you needed to have authentication of the transfer of the note, the endorsement of the note, they introduced this note and they put a man's name on my note, meaning Mr. Jesse Monza, who left Washington Mutual in 2006. Washington Mutual was closed for giving me the very loan that I have in 2008. How am I in court? Even after agreeing a contract with an individual who did not pay, how did I was in court when the judge could see the man testified under oath, the attorney representing, saying, I didn't know why Mr. Ezel stopped making this payment, because he made his second payment on time. I don't know why we're here. You want to know why? Because they know they had a dirty title. They've stolen millions of black and brown people's homes, and they've even stole white, poor folks' homes, and nobody's doing nothing. There's something more going on in our judiciary just in the other than them just shooting us. They're killing us. There's been hundreds of thousands of people died in nursing homes because of COVID, and their homes have been stolen. And nobody's saying anything about it. My attorney general will not turn and say anything to me. I've been in contact with Mr. Benji Wembley. We've had a national mortgage settlement. All of us were supposed to receive our titles where they couldn't prove them. How am I still in court?
The bulk of these properties in your property, these are in New Jersey?
They're in New Jersey and throughout New York and throughout Pennsylvania and all over the country.
Okay, but your property is in New Jersey?
The 24 that I'm speaking about are the people in New Jersey.
Okay, all right. Now, to be honest, I don't recall getting any documents at the convention. I normally would not accept documents like that. So I honestly
passed the package, and I also spoke to Dr. Richardson, and they tried to get me in contact with you at the meeting, but you were busy.
Who has the package?
Miss Patrice.
Okay, well,
and I also can forward you, sir. We have documented evidence.
No problem, no problem. Well, let me check with Miss Perry and to see get those documents. Also, if you can, just also call the 1-800 number, and if you can, with Culver, just leave your number so we can reach back out to you.
Can you give me your number, sir?
My number is 212-690-3070. 690-3070.
Okay, sir, last but least to finish, 70. Before this case was just heard, it came back around. I had to go back to court. My wife and I both have been under psychiatric care. We went and found a doctor in Alabama because we didn't trust anybody here. She wrote, as people with disabilities, before the judge made a final judgment, to have someone from the ADA contact us to answer how, one, the court allowed us to be foreclosed while we were making payments. 2, how the court allowed this case to move forward without having the recorded documents because we gave her the evidence ourselves. And 3, how the court would not make a finding of fraud. This judge literally came into court in my case and in Mr. Ajayi's case we just mentioned and said to him just now in an appellate court, where the appellate court and the Supreme Court just said you needed to record authenticated assignment. Because Mr. Ajayi's daughter's house is a moot point, there's no need to going back and answering why they didn't follow the procedure. And in my case, I just had this guy tell the Department of the ADA in his building, who contacted me 1 week before the trial after my doctor wrote to have my case postponed until this could happen. And she contacted me and said, Mr. Ezel, your date will be postponed on the 1st in order for the ADA, because I got to escalate it. I got a phone call the day that it was supposed to be postponed. This man violated my rights under the ADA by telling me he's not going to accommodate nothing and he's going to move forward. But to show you the severity of the racism and the bias, this isn't about who do I owe. The person who foreclosed on me, I don't owe. And if they would have promptly researched it, JP Morgan Chase was tasked with giving me my deed back because of the illegal loan I received. That's number 1. There's 6 of us like this in this case. Number 2, if they would have promptly read and understood when the ADA came in and took control, this judge did not have jurisdiction. In each of our cases, the court did not have subject matter jurisdiction because the plaintiff never established standing. If Donald Trump had to establish standing, then each of these plaintiffs have to establish standing.
Mr. Ezel, let me ask you a question. I'm Joel Schmelkin.
Yes.
You have the names of these 24 people?
Yes, sir.
All right. And they all have similar situations and similar gripes as you do?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Sometimes we may be able to look into a potential class action. I want you to give me a call in the office tomorrow, and I'm going to speak to you. I'm going to try to get some information, and perhaps we can think about whether or not there's a potential class action or some sort of a situation like that where everybody can proceed. Okay.
Yes,
give me a call. My
relief to stop these foreclosures, because right now, sir,
I understand.
Violated my right under the ADA.
I understand.
So
A couple of things. Listen.
Okay.
Write this down. You got a pen?
Yes.
Call me tomorrow. 212-227-8865. Okay. And we'll try to see what we can do and try to figure a few things out for you. All right, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Mr. Schmelkin, and
I didn't get his name.
Zeal.
Sure,
Yeah.
Joel.
Joel.
Yeah, I'm the guy over here. Okay. See, raising my hand.
Last name.
SCHMELKIN. And that's 212-227-8865.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Ezel. And also we'll check with regard to the documents that you say you left at the convention. We'll check on that. All right. Keisha Hogan, are you still with us?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Welcome. Good evening.
Good evening. I was there on Saturday. I'm trying to be cautious of what office I work for. But long story short, 2 years ago, I had witnessed my Caucasian manager and 2 colleagues watching a pornographic video at work. Excuse me. And there was an investigation by my city agency in 2019. 2020, my agency had turned the charges against me, saying that it was a false report. This pornographic video wasn't shown. There were no witnesses. Everyone said it was a lie. So now, fast forward to 2021. My trial started in January. Next week will be the final week. There's a witness. The witness had said in 2019 that it happened. There was someone else who gave an ambiguous answer to let it be known that there was a video that was shown that she didn't want to get involved. I don't understand how, as a victim of sexual harassment, I'm on trial. Never been in trouble at work, been at my job 20 plus years. And I work for a New York City politician, and he's recently on the news regarding sexual harassment. I'll leave it at that. So I guess I'm just trying to figure out, like, how did this happen? I do have a work attorney, but I'm looking for a civil rights attorney. So there is an attorney representing me for my work case because they're trying to terminate me, but I'm looking for a civil rights attorney because I literally don't understand how I'm on trial and I'm the victim of sexual harassment.
Okay. Now, have you spoken with Mr. Perkinson about this matter?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. All right. So now, right. So we're going to have to determine that. We're not going to be able to determine that tonight. So why don't you just arrange with Derek so we can, vet out the civil rights case that you want to pursue, and then we can take it from there and see who we may be able to connect you to. I understand that you may be working with Attorney Jeff Yearwood. Is that correct?
Yes, we haven't connected yet. He did. We've been emailing each other back and forth, but he hasn't responded to my messages yet. But
all right. So you should continue doing that, and I'll also check with Mr. Yearwood on this matter so we can get to that. But thank you, and we will definitely follow through. And now you say you are on trial right now, also?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. There was 6 people that had testified against me, and they all basically stumbled over their testimonies. I know I have to be careful with my wording. And next week is the final week where I testify, and my witness won't be testifying because I don't know why. But I also was told by my witness that he was being harassed, and this evidence was put in with my city agency the same time I was initially interviewed. So I literally don't understand how I got
Now,
here.
is that trial like an oath hearing? Is that an administrative trial?
It's with oath. I don't know. I didn't hear what you just said.
Is it an oath hearing?
It's an oath hearing, yes, because I work for the.
All right. Okay.
I work for the city.
All right. Perfect. So again, just follow up with.
Okay.
Yeah, Ms. Hogan, follow up with me. We'll get it straight.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Gregory Carr, you still with us?
Hello?
Yes. Good evening.
How are you? Good evening. How are you?
Excellent. How are you?
Oh, I've been hanging in there, I have to tell my buddy I have to call him back. I have to call you back, Chris. I'm on the phone with somebody. All right.
Make sure you call me back.
I will.
I'll be out there. I remember I got your address buzzing in my GPS. All right.
Yeah. One of my buddies from out of town.
All right.
All right. This is a crazy story, but my wife and I, we were involved in, I have a handicapped child, and we were in a malpractice suit back in, we won a malpractice suit back in 1999. And we didn't think that, the amount of money was going to change my son's situation. And we really didn't care. We figured it would just help us move along. We had a house, we had cars, we were doing our thing. We both worked. We're not looking for no handouts. We were doing our thing. Everything was good. Our first attorney, he hooked us up so that my son would have his money invested. And he told me, the guy who was doing investments told me that, I'm gonna make sure that you have enough money, that your son has enough money to last to his demise. So everything was good. We were moving along, we were doing the paperwork, everything was fine. And what happened was one day our attorney called us up. We had moved from New York City out to Nassau County. And our attorney told us that he could no longer represent us. And I was wondering why. He said he had a problem with the court examiner in Nassau County. So then we found out later on that our attorney was being brought up on charges of grand larceny, and he did some jail time. He was gone. So we were with the courts out here in Nassau County. We started doing all kind of crazy paperwork and all kind of things. It seemed like they set us up to fail, you know. But we hung in there, and I did the best I could with the paperwork, doing spreadsheets and all that stuff. And after a long period of time, they said that we were mishandling funds, and they wanted to take us off as being the guardians. They wanted us to resign, which we, you know, they never told us what would that pertain to, you know. Anyway, the judge took us off, and the judge put an attorney in its place. And what was happening was we supposedly had a surcharge, and we're supposed to be paying this back every year, which, you know, it seemed to me like everything just changed over. We were fine before all this happened with the money. We were taking care of my son, and everything was good. We figured, like I said, the money would help us out, but it just turned, it seemed like you say more money, more problems. But after a while, this attorney, long story short, she started writing large sums of money of checks to herself. You know, nothing was given to my son, nothing was given to us.
This is the attorney that the court appointed?
Yes, this is the court. Yes, the court appointed attorney. Yes. And the only thing that we got a house out the deal. We had a house. They made us sell our present house that we had and moved into this house. And they figured that the money that my son had and the money that we were making, we would be able to make it, no problem. But this attorney, long story short, she spent up the rest of my son's money, you know, so he has no more money left over. Now they want to bug us, and they want to come after the house now, because we were in a closed court. When we went to court, there was nobody there but us and them. You know, there were other cases there. They would wait for everybody to leave, and then they'd be on top of us, you know. And you know, even our attorney that we had, it seemed like he was down with them too. You know, he was telling me you can't mention this to anybody and all this nonsense. And I'm wondering, like, what is he talking about? You know. But the thing is, they just didn't do us right. You know. Now I'm looking for some counsel. I've been trying to. I even joined this thing. What was it? Legal Shield or something like that. I was looking for an attorney. I went out and I spoke to about, maybe a good 10, 11 attorneys, and they all told me the same thing. They did not want to be bothered with this case for the simple reason of the people that I was dealing with, the judge and the attorneys. She's well known out here. Matter of fact, I even filed a grievance, found out that she's on the grievance committee. You know, so. I feel like I was just beating my head up against the wall. There was nothing I could do, you know. So they're getting away with this. They got away with it. She got a nice penny out of my son's account. My son has no more money left. Okay. And we're just in limbo, and we're trying to stop them from messing with the house. You know, all the things that the courts put in place, they're trying to change now, you know, and they want us to downsize for some reason. I don't know why. It seems like they just want to get, like somebody else wants to get paid. That's what it seems like. So if we downsize, we sell the house and we find something less, there's going to be some monies there, and that's going to be eaten up by somebody. That's what it feels like to me. But I have nobody to oversee this. And the thing, like I said, they're just there with their hands out, and they're constantly just badgering us. We've been going through this for 20 years. And all I want to do is move on with life and be left alone. I don't want to be bothered. You know, my son has CP. He was a cancer survivor. We've been through hell, spending nights in the hospital, doing what we had to do to take care of our own, you know. But there's no recourse. I don't know what to do. I don't have anyone to stand up for us. And somebody, you know, I even spoke to the attorney when I used to talk to her. She would talk down to me because she felt like she didn't have to say anything to me. And then when I mentioned to her about my son's portfolio, I said, "Did you look at his portfolio?" She said, "Yeah, I looked at it." I said, "No, you didn't. What you did, you looked at the amount and you took it, because it would have been I wouldn't care if she took $1 million a year out of this account. I would care less as long as my son was taken care of." And the thing is, actually, when she was the guardian, the house was damaged during the storm Sandy. You know, these are things that she was that the money was there for her to fix the house. She didn't do it. She ran off with. That was too much money to put into the house. This is what we were told, you know. But thank God we got through the storms and all that nonsense. But the house still needs to be repaired. You know, when we first moved in, the driveway, my son's in a wheelchair. He should have a driveway that we can push up. The driveway's broken. I got to struggle to get the chair up there. You know, just a bunch of nonsense, you know.
Yeah, okay. And Mr. Carr, can I ask you a question, sir?
Sure.
I'm assuming your son's case was settled in 1999?
Yes.
And this was a birth injury?
Yes.
All right. And your son was born when?
He was born in 6/21/91.
All right. So, and your son was 8 years old when it was settled. All right. When it was settled, generally speaking, when a child's case is settled, you have to go to court. You do what's called an infant's compromise, and the court approves a settlement. The court requires that the money be placed in a certain fund. Usually it's a structured settlement where your child would be paid off over the course of a lifetime.
Right.
What I don't understand is that after this is done, generally speaking, the court assigns X amount of dollars to the attorney for the attorney's fee, for the attorney's expenses. But thereafter, the balance of it goes into what's called an annuity. The money thereafter is payable to your son over a certain period of time. It goes into a trust until he turns 18 or 21. Thereafter, they will appoint a guardian, and the guardian has to make various reports and so on. You have a copy of the infant's compromise order?
I have a lot of paperwork here. I have a bunch.
What I want you to do is this. I want to speak to you about this because something doesn't sound right. Ordinarily, the reason for an infant's compromise is that the courts want to protect the child's money to make sure that these things can't happen. I don't understand how this attorney could have put her hands into the pie and taking money that belongs to your son.
Well, she did, and the judge okayed it.
Well, it doesn't seem right to me. There's something that's missing. Here's what I want you to do.
Okay.
You probably have a lot of papers. I'm not, interested in looking at everything right now, but I'm going to get right to the bottom line. Look at what's called the infant's compromise order. That's what
I don't even remember an order like that. I remember
you had to have had that in 1990. What county was this in?
Nassau.
In Nassau County? The
Yeah,
case
well,
was
it
settled?
started out in Queens County, and then we were moved to Nassau County.
All right, the case was settled in Queens County?
Yes.
All right. So what's going to happen is this. You will have what's called an infant's compromise order. And that order would have been signed by the judge in 1999. I want you to get a copy of that order. You'll have an index number on the order. Give me a call tomorrow. I will look at that order and try to walk you through the various steps.
An infant compromise?
It's called infant. An infant under the law is somebody under the age of 18.
Okay.
Not necessarily a baby, but the law considers anyone under the age of 18 to be an infant.
Uh-huh.
The paperwork is called an infant, INFANT, infant compromise order. Mm-hmm. And that was a document signed by the court in Queens County. This was a medical malpractice case?
Yes.
All right. You will see there's an index number on it and there was a court order. You'll get a copy of that order. Give me a call. I'm going to give you my email also. You'll either email or you'll fax it to me, and I'll discuss it with you and tell you exactly what should have been done. And we'll trace the footsteps to see how this attorney could have put her hands on the money. It doesn't make sense because these things are done to protect the child.
Well, yeah, this was just done in like 2018 or something like that.
Right. In 2018, your son's 27. Can your son communicate? Can he take money? Can he? No.
He doesn't even know he has money.
So there's probably a guardian appointed.
We were
for your son.
We were the guardians. We were the guardians of his estate. We were the guardians of him, and they broke.
So the application probably allowed you to take out a certain amount of money, pursuant to what's called a supplemental needs trust. It gets a little complicated.
Right, I understand. That's what
you have to make an application each year. You got to file a report and so on. I want to just go from the beginning. And by going from the beginning, I want to see the infant's compromise order. And that will allow me to trace the steps. And we can try to figure out what went wrong and where it went wrong. But we got to start from the beginning. And the beginning would have been the document in 1999 signed by the Supreme Court judge in Queens County. Look for that paper, please. And would you call me tomorrow?
Sure.
All right.
What's your name, sir?
Joel Schmelkin.
Joel. Spell the last name.
SCHMELKIN. Mm-hmm. And that is 212-227-8865.
All right. And you
okay.
You're gonna give me an email too? Well, I'll find it. I gotta look through my file cabinet.
You know what you do? You can go to my website.
Okay.
Which is schmelkinlaw.com.
Schmelkinlaw.com.
Right. You'll get everything you need. Or just give me a call. Okay.
All right. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
We have to go back to court. We got to go back. I think they have something. They just sent some papers to us. I think it's May 10th.
I'll take a look at that for you.
All right.
Okay. All right.
All right. Well, thank both of you so much, and good luck with that, Mr. Carr. But stay on top of it for sure.
Thank you. We have to.
All right. All right, we have Carolyn B. up next. Carolyn, are you still with us? All right. All right, Carolyn, you still with us? Okay. All right. All right. So next up is, I believe it's Sharon Bryant. Sharon. Okay. Heather Green, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here. One
All right.
second.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Excellent.
So I have just received a settlement offer from New York City. I injured myself tripping over a broken sewer grate almost a year ago. However, the settlement is only for a couple $100s. And they're telling me that because of the reason for that is because there was no notice filed with the city letting them know that there was a broken sewer grate. And my thought was the fact that I filed the claim letting them know that there was a broken sewer grate and that was their notice. But I was not aware that, or they're making me assume that I needed to file a separate claim with DEP, letting them know that the sewer grate was broken. So my question is, if I do not want to accept the offer, do I have any recourse to fight the settlement? Or are they correct in telling me that DEP needed to be notified before I sent my claim?
All right. Well, before anyone jumps in, are you currently represented in the?
I am not.
Okay. Anyone want to?
Sure. I can help you with that. Did this happen in front of on a sidewalk or the roadway?
So the broken sewer grate was in the street right next to the corner.
All right, let me explain to you what the law says. We have something called a pothole law in the state of New York. It's under General Municipal Law, Section 50E. And what happens is that in order for the city to be responsible, doesn't make a difference what your injury is. They would have had prior written notice. When we say they, it's the New York City Department of Transportation, had to have had prior written notice of the defect in question at least 15 days before your accident. If there is no prior written notice of that depressed sewer grating, then there is no case whatsoever. So you'd have to be able to prove. And you say, well, how do you prove this? Whenever somebody falls in the roadway or on the sidewalk, if it's not in front of a commercial establishment, you have 90 days to put in a claim called a notice of claim. You do that in the controller's office. But in order for you to have a claim, you've got to be able to show that that defect was reported to the New York City Department of Transportation at least 15 days beforehand. And unless, of course, they caused and created that. And that's a difficult thing to prove. So if you can't prove that at all, it's not going to be a case. Now, you don't have to accept it. But then again, I'm assuming you filed this claim within the 90 days?
Within the time frame, the year and 90 days that they gave
well,
me.
It's a year and 90 days to file a lawsuit, but it's 90 days to file first a notice of claim.
Okay.
Now, you don't have, I'm assuming if you did, you don't have an attorney. You're pro se?
Yes.
And you filed what's called a summons and complaint?
A notice and claim.
A notice of claim. All right. When did this happen? What was the date of the accident?
December 31st, 2019.
2019.
Yes.
All right, let me explain something to you. If it happened December 31st, 2019, you would have had to have not only filed a notice of claim, you would have had to have gone to a hearing if the city requested it, and you would have only had a year and 90 days from that date, and you're past that, to file the summons and complaint. Mm-hmm. If that's not done, you don't have a case at all. Mm-hmm. However, I will tell you this. Even if it was done, I'll go a step further. Even if that was done, unless you're going to be able to prove that prior written notice, you don't have a case at all. Now, the question is, do you have to accept it? No, you don't have to accept it. But if you don't have a case at all and you don't accept it, you're not getting anything.
Okay.
And that's the whole problem with this over there, that you have to show the prior written notice. That's the law. You might not like it, but if it happened in the street, that's different. If it happened on the sidewalk in front of a commercial building, or an apartment building, the city wouldn't be responsible. The private landowner would be responsible. You'd have 3 years to sue them, and you wouldn't have to show that they had actual written notice, just that the condition was there for a while. So from what you're telling me, it doesn't sound, from what I'm hearing, it doesn't sound like there is any notice. So, you may be better off just accepting the settlement.
Okay, I'll take myself out to dinner then. Thank you.
Okay, good. Have a good dinner.
Good seeing you, Royce. Take care.
And that's a very good spirit, Ms. Green. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cicely C., you are up next.
Hello.
Hello, good evening. Welcome.
Good evening. Hi. I have two questions that I want to ask.
Okay.
The first one is, I'm interested in appealing a order. It's not a support order, it's a boarding school order. And I wanted to see on what grounds would I be able to appeal it. I was actually in court from 2017 up until now. We're just having a settlement. Within that time frame, going back and forth to court, there was at least 3 or 4 times that the judge or the magistrate postponed the court. There was one time in particular that I wound up having shingles, and I had an outbreak of my shingles, and I took my medicine. I wound up being late for court. I was in that court. That was in January of 2019, and I was in court every day since 2017. I know that the magistrate has the option of putting it on a calendar for another date or dismissing it. Not only did we already have a temporary order, he was in violation of a temporary order because I went to court and filed paperwork for the violation, but they stated since I already had a court date to see the judge to make the order permanent, that she would address everything at that time. So she had the violation as well as the permanent order on her desk, and she chose to just throw it out. So that made me have to start over again with my child support order from January. So I lost from 2017 and 2018 child support. So we did that. When I received it, I got another lawyer. I was trying to get the judge recused because I just felt that she wasn't giving me the same level of respect as she was the respondent by calling him by his name, referring to me as she, and things of that nature. But my lawyer did not do that. We continued on. So that's when I lost the 2000 on appeal for that. I lost the 2017 and 2019 because there was some things that he was supposed to send to my doctor. He didn't send to my doctor, and the paperwork or the wording. I'm sorry. The magistrate said that since I knew that the medicine that I was taking was going to make me nauseous or dizzy or whatever, I shouldn't have taken it knowing that I had to go to court the next day, which I felt, how are you going to tell me what medicine I should take or what couldn't take? And me not taking my shingles medicine is debilitating. I wouldn't have been able to go to court if I didn't take the medicine. So that was one of the grounds that she threw it out. And then also a reference to my medicine that I was taking. I was taking, what is it? Oh, Endocet and Percocet. Is it Endocet? It was 2 medicines. It was 2 different brands, but the same name. And it was thrown out because of that as well. So we still went to court. We finished with the court order. So I just received family court. Yes.
In which county?
Manhattan. So I just received an order on the 8th, which my lawyer did not get back to me. This is a new lawyer, and I just seem like I'm picking the worst lawyers. But I did get back to him in reference to it, and we have the support order. It was made permanent, and then he also has back support that he has to pay out. But there wasn't a lump sum or anything made for him to pay out, and the boarding school that I had put in for was rejected. we had a verbal agreement. At the time, I wouldn't have, I'm sorry? I'm sorry?
No, go ahead, Cicely.
At the time, I didn't think to get it in writing. We had a verbal agreement that we would both bear the cost of my daughter going to boarding school. He didn't have a problem with my daughter going to boarding school. The only problem he had was her going to California because she wanted to go to California. But at that time, she didn't get accepted. But once she got accepted into the school she wanted to go to in California, he changed his mind as far as her being so far away. He didn't mind that. But once I took him to court, and this was after we broke up because the payments started being sporadic and whatever. So I figured I just need to go to court. The court will have you pay me, whatever. And then I don't have to deal with you as far as getting in contact with you, making payments and things of that nature.
So where are you at now, and what is it that you're seeking to do now?
The magistrate denied the support, not the support order, the boarding school order. She claimed that she said that neither her dad or myself went to boarding school. So basically, my daughter didn't need to go to boarding school. She made mention of things that weren't discussed in the hearing. She said that the process that we had didn't affect my daughter's academic success and her emotional well-being. And in fact, we never did discuss that. My daughter had already been in school, boarding school for 2 years already. So now that is going to affect her. And now she's in a school here in the city, which is by far not on the same level as her boarding school. She's actually repeating courses that she had, and she's suffering because basically she feels she's not learning anything in the school. And I mean, I've been fortunate enough to have my kids in the better schools in the city. I know that I had to, they were in schools that they were the only person of color. So, that was cases that they were looked at as unicorns because they're intelligent, young Black students. But I didn't mind dealing with that because I knew that they were getting a good education behind that. But now it's the same thing in this school, but she's not even getting a good education. It's like she's teaching her teachers. So she's at a loss. And this is not something that the magistrate discussed in the hearing. For her to put it in the order that my daughter's education is not suffering, when in fact it is, being at the school since she's already at a different level in her education.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Can I ask a couple of questions here?
Sure.
So the boarding school that you're talking about is in California?
Yes, my daughter was in boarding school. She wasn't in this year because of the pandemic.
So the judge denied your request to have your daughter go to boarding school in California.
To continue.
And who are you both have joint custody, or do you have custody?
I have custody of my daughter.
Okay. Well, the court is asked to be almost in a parental position because they're going to ask what is in the best interest of the child. And then you look at a multitude of factors to make that determination. One of those factors would be the contact that the child would or would not have with one or both parents. So clearly you believe that this is in your child's best interest, and you're willing to sacrifice some personal time that you would have with your child to better her education and her future opportunities. However, the father doesn't agree with your position, and the court is going to. It's very difficult and steep hill to climb when you're asking the child to live across the country, and you would have to almost say that the magistrate's order was arbitrary and capricious and had no basis in fact, and that it would be against your daughter's, is it your daughter or your son?
My daughter.
Your daughter's best interest to go to this school. So I don't think that you're probably going to have a lot of success appealing the denial of going to boarding school. You know, just like the judge said with respect to that neither of her parents went to boarding school, they look at that when there's choices of college. They'll look at if the parents went to
May I
college.
interrupt you? I'm
Mhm.
sorry. I have 3 other children, and all 3 of them went to boarding school. So this is something that her siblings have been grooming her for all her life. So
Do
even
all
though
the siblings have the same father? Those
no,
the
they
same father
no,
as this one? So
no,
then
they don't. That's my ex-husband. But it's not. We as parents, we're supposed to want better for our kids. We don't want what our parents did for us. I can't control what my mom did with me, but I can control what I do with my child as far as giving her the best education possible. And as far as being a loss, he hasn't seen my daughter since I've taken him to court. So this doesn't mean anything to him, her being in school or not.
I totally understand and sympathize with your opinions. I'm just being realistic here. There is no right to attend boarding school, and the court will look at both parents and their opinions, and they will make the determination what they feel is in the best interest of the child. I understand. And if he's been an absentee parent, why does he get equal say to you? I understand your point and your position, but I know it's a tough road. I don't know if your lawyers are going to be successful on appealing that portion of the decision. I'm being very realistic with you.
So it doesn't have anything to do with her reasoning that she has in the order?
Well, the
because
reasoning,
these things are her opinion. These things were never even addressed in our hearing. She never asked if my daughter was suffering as far as her education at the school that she's going to. She never asked about my daughter's emotional well-being.
well, it would probably be your lawyer's burden, because you're the one seeking that relief, to have shown that she is either of a special talent and there's no schools within the close proximity that can meet her talents, or that she had special disabilities. I'm going on the other side, that no school in the local vicinity could meet, and therefore she needed to go to that. So your attorney would have had to present this evidence, present the evidence of the special opportunity, and testify how this would negatively impact that.
Okay, so basically, my attorneys didn't address this case the way they should have in the beginning, when the onset of this. Okay.
Okay, well, I understand, Cicely, it's a difficult situation. So why don't we do this? I think obviously you should speak with your own attorney. I think I accidentally, and then you can also reach back so that maybe you can continue a conversation with, okay, I'm trying to get my video back.
You could feel free to call me and let me know what your attorney said. That would be fine.
So let's do that, Cicely. The reason why I'm saying that is because we're at 8:54, so we don't have much time left. So I want to do something so I can maybe make sure we touch everybody that we have. I know David Dawson Davis.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt you. May I have the name and phone number so I can get in contact with him? Thank you.
Jeff, and my last name is EMDIN, and my number is 212-265-1350.
Thank you so much. I appreciate
You're welcome. I look forward to talking. I can help you.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Cicely. All right, so winding down, so I'm just going to call out some and give some correction. Dawson Davis, if you are still with us, I want you you can call here tomorrow, but if you're still with us, take this name down, Kyle Edmonds, and you can just call here to the House of Justice tomorrow, and we can give you his contact information. Attorney Edmonds is an estate lawyer. He does practice in this area, and so you should reach out to him and see if he could help you with that question. Chanel, I know we spoke to you a little earlier. We just stay right there for a second, and we'll come right back to you. Ms. Woods, if you're still with us, my understanding is your son is in the military and is being harassed. Where is he stationed?
He's stationed in Afghanistan. He just left there like 3 weeks ago. I just wanted to mention that because I brought it to the attention of Nia 2X, and she immediately jumped on it. She from the Greater DC chapter of the from the Greater DC chapter. And
All right,
Nia
that's
2X,
great. So are you in the DC area, Ms. Woods?
yes, I have
All
to
right,
show you
so
a
why don't we
picture
do
of
this?
my son there.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah,
Well,
he's the
thank
only
you.
pilot there, and he's being picked.
Absolutely. So why don't we do this? Nia 2X, the three of us can get together and we should figure out how we can address that issue and who we need to approach. And we may use our DC Bureau to try to get some redress there. So Ms. Wood, you follow up with Nia, and Nia will bring us together, okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And then, okay, so in these last 3 minutes, we're going to try to get to, we have Horton Bingham, Chanel, and Julia LaFour. Julia LaFour's name was up first, so Julia, if you're still with us.
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us briefly what your issue is. And
my issue is employment related.
Okay.
In 2005, I joined the Health and Hospital Corporations as an associate director in nursing. I worked there until October 2011, when I was asked that my service was no longer needed. I did not get any explanation at the time, and they said I'm a Group 11 employee and not a will employee.
Okay.
Then after I left, but prior to me leaving, we had changed the director of nursing. And when the director of nursing came, my last evaluation was pulled back and redone, and I got an average instead of superior and excellent. But the director of nursing, I had known her from a previous job. However, I left in 2011 and I pursued other positions in the New York City Hospital Corporation still. I went to interviews.
So let me ask, only because, you know, we have to close. So I want to make sure. So what exactly are you confronting right now? And
what I want right now is because in 2014, I finally got back into the system at another facility, Woodhall Hospital. And after a few days, I was supposed to go to a conference at Kings County where I work. And they called me in the evening and say not to go, call personnel the next day. And I was confused. But eventually, the bottom line is they told me they eventually got my file from my previous job with the city. And what was in it? They could no longer employ me in the block. And a day like today, after all these years, I still cannot get my file. I don't know what is in that file because it's not like a case there was an issue or a problem and I was called up for anything.
Okay,
so
let's
that's
do
my
this,
issue.
Ms. LaFleur. The number here is 212-690-3070. I believe the number is in the chat room, and also the toll-free number here,
690-212-690.
3070.
You know, I actually called the network and Joshua invite me to this tonight, and I've been sitting
absolutely,
here.
and that was correct. What I'm asking you to do is call that number tomorrow. You're gonna ask to just connect with Mr. Perkinson, and then he'll arrange for you to speak with someone that can vet out your employment issue. Where we're not under a time constraint to do so. Okay.
Okay.
So just make sure you do that, and you're going to ask to speak with Mr. Perkinson, and he'll make sure that he directs that accordingly. Okay.
I do appreciate that.
All right, and we appreciate you.
Thank
okay.
you.
Jorge Grulian or Grulon.
Yeah. Hi.
All right. Welcome. Yes, thanks for your patience.
A lot of patience, believe me. I'm here for 3 hours waiting. Yeah, my question was, I applied to buy a property in Boonville in Yonkers, and then me and my girlfriend, she's here with me, and then we apply, we do all the paperwork, fine, went through everything with the mortgage, and we're going to put down 45% the down payment. That means like $138,000 down payment.
Save all this money.
But then we went to the process, and then the board sent me the letter. We deny, we know explanation, we know without interview. So I think this is, from my understanding, is they call it discrimination.
Yes, and this was a co-op board?
Yes, it is.
All right, and this is up in Westchester?
Yes, in Boonville.
Brownsville,
Westchester County.
Westchester Country.
Okay.
Yes. We put all of the paper they require. Everything was right, everything what they want, and they do not send us the interview. They just send the letter to a lawyer saying, "Oh, your clients are denied," without explanation. I spent 2 months putting papers together, 5 letters of recommendation they asked us, and I was waiting for the interview and was like 2 months waiting, and they say no. And I want to know what's the problem, because I have all of the things they require. Even we putting a lot of money in there. So the manager then called me and said, after the management called me after they deny and say, "Oh, I have another apartment, and they're gonna let you in." I look at the apartment, and the apartment is far away from there, and it's just Spanish people living in that area. So in this area, so I feel like this is something like I need an explanation for that.
For me to buy an apartment in the Spanish building.
So so this is what they want me to buy an apartment in the Spanish. It's not a Spanish.
No, I understand. So it sounds very classic, a potential discrimination matter. Co-ops do have a lot of power in these situations in terms of how they make these decisions, but we would need to take, a close look at this. And again, first of all, let me thank you for being with us, and I know you've been on since the beginning. So again, tomorrow you follow up with Mr. Perkinson tomorrow. He will make sure that we expedite a connection for you so that you can speak with an attorney regarding the potential discrimination in housing and in the purchase of a co-op. And so we can then vet that out and take the next steps. So that's what we can get done tonight, but we'll make sure absolutely unequivocally that we will follow through with this tomorrow, okay?
And what is the number?
You're gonna call, Derek is putting it in the chat room, but it's 212-690-3070.
Thank you.
All right, and Derek is here tonight, so he will make sure that he speaks with you tomorrow and we get this in motion to the right attorney who you will be able to speak with and get some direction, at least to try to get an initial full understanding of what's happening there, okay?
I will ask from Mr. Perkinson directly.
I will ask from Mr. Perkinson directly.
Yes, directly, that's right.
At what time is he we able to call him?
Before 11:30 or after 1 p.m. I have a meeting from 11:30 to 1, so it has to be before 11:30 or after 1 p.m. on Friday.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
You got Veronica over there, Michael?
Okay, so I believe we have Spencer T. You still with us?
Yeah. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, Spencer, what's your issue?
I'm going to go real quick because I know time is of essence. My name is Spencer Thomas. I am a community activist in Ossining. Over the last 25 years, I've done a lot of community activism, police brutality meetings, protests, so forth.
Thank you for that.
Chris Malone was shot and killed by 4 Austin police officers. Al Sharpton came up here, Randolph Scott McLaughlin. We did a subcommittee on the Civilian Police Complaint Review Board, which I was a part of. So fast forward, over the years, I've always, advocated on behalf of my community. In 2019, I was assaulted, and the kid that assaulted me was involved in a death where someone was murdered. He was complicit in the death, so he was an eyewitness. The kid who assaulted me, the police didn't do no investigation. Basically, they didn't, they said they didn't have no investigative, evidence to, forward with the investigation.
Right.
So I came down to the National Action Network and I spoke to William Anthony Allen, and he advised me to go on the local level, which seek out the district attorney or file a police report, a police complaint. So I did that. I filed the complaint. I walked it into the police department, and within 2-3 months, I didn't hear back from them. So then I typed up a complaint, got it notarized, and mailed it in. Didn't hear back from them.
Okay.
I reached out to David Carlucci, the senator. I reached out to the Assemblywoman Sandra Gallup.
Mr. Spencer, what is it that you're trying to do now? And again, I regret having to speed it up a little bit, but we do want to just get to the last 3 people so that we have heard everyone. If you can, just tell us exactly.
Okay, I have a misconduct complaint that is right now being reviewed by the Austin Civilian Complaint Review Board. But the person that is investigating my complaint is the police captain. Guy over the years who I've had problems with. So right now, I'm waiting for a decision based on this Civilian Complaint Review Board process. And I would like to know what is my next step, because I don't feel like it's going to be a favorable decision. Like, I would like to get some type of assistance after this Zoom chat from one of the attorneys. Like I said, I spoke to William Anthony Allen, and he advised me on what to do. And
Mr. Allen is now the candidate for the city council.
He's Andrew Yang's best friend now.
So is the complaint basically the failure to investigate? Is that the summary of it?
The complaint is when I got the complaint is when I got assaulted, they said there was no assault. So I went over their heads over to the Westchester District Attorney's office, who was a new district attorney. He had me come back in and give all my statements and my my testimony. The kid got indicted, but the police detectives that stalled on the investigation, I filed a police misconduct complaint because they were conspiring with the person who assaulted me. Okay.
So your Ossining Civilian Complaint Board is, I think, I'm looking this up, it's comprised of 9 people.
And 4 of them are police officers.
Yes, that's true. That's true. And 4 are police officers.
I have been participating in the police reform process. The police, to make long story short, because I know you're under time constraint. The police reform process is so messed up because the police chief is the voice of the whole process, and the mayor and the village board did nothing as far as the recommendations that we put forth. So now I got my own complaint before the Civilian Review Board, and it's
you're being proactive in saying in case they come back and don't discipline or do anything, what do you do next? Your next step would probably go to the Attorney General's office.
Because, sir, when you walk into the police station, you're under the camera. The police complaint papers are right there. So now whoever gets a form, application to file a complaint, you're on camera. The next process, it goes into a basket behind the front desk. Anyone walking in and out of that police station that's an officer can see who's filing a complaint. So if the dispatcher, sends someone out, an officer out on a call, and you happen to be someone filing a complaint, everybody knows that you filed a complaint that's in the basket.
No, I understand. And we know that there are other people waiting, but you have two complaints. One, you feel that the police officer purposely suppressed the investigation due to the relationship the officer had with your assailant, and you also have a complaint with regard to the whole process. So there are 2 different complaints, and so you're going to wait for the decision. If you get a negative decision in either regard, I would say your next step is to go to the Attorney General's office. Letitia James.
Okay, we have to go to the next one. Okay, man.
All right, so continue to follow up, Spencer, and we can both facilitate. Mr. Perkinson will follow up with you, and if necessary, and if we need to, we can also reach out to Mr. Emden and see if he'll be able to speak with you further. Okay, okay, you're muted, so. Just put your hands up. Give me a thumbs up if you're good with that.
I was going to say, I do have all the paperwork throughout the whole timeline. I have recordings, and I also have all my
all right, excellent. So we'll be following up with you. Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right. Okay, Veronica, are you still with us?
I'm still here.
Okay, Miss Dillon, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm good. If you can, try to frame your issue for us precisely so we can address it.
Okay. And so my concern is with my 28-year-old son. He is in the Parchment, Mississippi State Penitentiary. He's been there for like 3 years for 4 pain pills in his pocket. Now, when they arrested him and put the 72-hour hold on him, they said that they had murder and guns and clips and all kind of stuff, and none of that has since turned into a cold case. None of those charges he's been indicted on. It's been years. He's just sitting there for 4 pain pills, and I think something has seriously happened to him since he's been there, and they've been lying and covering it up. It's just heck of weird. I just need somebody to check on him, try to help me get him out of there.
Okay, So the best we can do tonight right now is, again, tomorrow, you need to follow up with Mr. Perkinson.
Okay.
What facility is he?
It's Parchman, Mississippi, the state penitentiary.
In Parchman. So please follow up, and then we will be able to connect you with our Mississippi chapter and our national field director to see what, if anything, can be done.
We may have attorneys in our resource guide in Mississippi, but Ms. Veronica, I also need you to check your local elected officials and give me the names and the contact numbers for those.
About that tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Dillon, you're going to follow up with Derek, 212-690-3070. The toll-free number is 877-626-4651, and we will pick this up as soon as you contact him, and we'll figure out how to go forward from there. Okay?
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you. All right. So we have Chanel and Horton Bingham. Chanel, you still with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay. So I can just make it very short so that I know you have to get to the other last person that has a question. My question is in regards to an employment case that I have here in California. I was discriminated against, sexually harassed, wrongfully terminated, and retaliated against a dentist practice that I worked for. I was a registered dental assistant there, and I was fired because I reported the sexual harassment and discrimination. And that was in 2015. I have already, I filed a complaint with the EEOC, and the EEOC referred me to an attorney that accepted my case on a contingency basis. He was in Maryland, DC. He worked on my case for about 2 years, and then once my case got to the Eastern District in California at the United States Court to go through trial, he got his license suspended because he was being sued by another client for some kind of incompetence and some other misconduct.
Still pending in you said the Eastern District in Los Angeles?
In California, the Eastern District in California.
But which?
It was the United States California Eastern District. That's what it had said on the paperwork. And so right before I went to trial, the attorney said that he could no longer represent me because his license was being suspended. So he found local counsel for me here in California that he added on my case, and then he gave my case to another attorney that was in the firm with him in DC. And once the judge just dismissed the case, I wasn't even aware of why the judge dismissed it until I started reaching out to attorneys, and they started looking at the docket number and reading through the file and to see what had happened with the case. And they told me something about the local counsel had motioned the judge to kind of like just throw it out. I didn't know about it.
When was it dismissed?
It was dismissed in 2019 of July 2019, July 1st. And so then the other attorney that was on my case, he told me to appeal the decision of the judge because he didn't agree with it. So I appealed it, and it ended up at the Ninth Circuit court, and they dismissed it. And I just recently found out why the judge dismissed it, and it said because my representation had failed to present the court with an opening brief. So I started just reaching out to attorneys to see like what could I do to help with my situation, and they just told me that I may have a legal malpractice case, and that I should just motion to have my case be reinstated at the Ninth Circuit. So that's what I've been doing. And I've been reaching out to other attorneys, and they just told me that I should file a complaint with the DEFH department to to make sure that my complaint, like if it was cross-filed with the EEOC department, because the EEOC gave me the right to sue letter. So they just wanted to make sure that the DEFH department did an investigation to make sure that it wasn't like cross-filed with them.
Okay. All right, so here's what I want you to do. I want you tomorrow, I want you to call 212.
That's what I'm finding out. And Al Sharpton's attorney gave us his information as well as the other attorney.
Okay.
All right, 212 690.
The attorney that Mr. Richardson wanted me to talk to, that's the head of NAN.
Okay.
3070. Okay. When you call that number in the morning, you just ask to speak with Culver. All right, Culver. Okay. You with me?
Yeah.
This
All right.
AJ, hold on.
Tell Culver to connect you.
Hey.
Tell Culver to connect you to me.
Okay.
He will do that, and then I will go through it and connect you with our team in California, in the Eastern District, and then we'll take it from there. Okay.
Okay.
So just do that in the morning, and we'll take it from there.
Okay.
All right?
I had another question too, before you go.
All right.
I was assaulted by the police in 2004, and I was hospitalized, but I wasn't like charged for anything, and I wasn't taken to court.
Well, let's take that up tomorrow when you when you, me, and Culver get together. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, Michael.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Mr. Bingham, you still with us?
It's not Mr. Bingham, it's Miss Bingham.
Oh, Miss Bingham, I'm sorry. Good evening and welcome.
It's okay. Hi, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
You're welcome. I am going to speak on behalf of my mother, who actually has an apartment in Harlem, where she is being harassed by the new board. Back in January, the building is kind of split. It's split now. The new tenants or board members decided to have an election and elect a new board without the original board members on there. So they basically had an election and they started to make up new rules. My mother we live in Maryland and we also live in Harlem. They have a good. Go ahead and talk, Mom, because you can't. No, Mom, seriously. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to take my mother's shares from her because they're saying that she's not at the apartment. I guess it's how many days a year? Half the year, but we are. But due to the pandemic, my mother is high risk, where she cannot travel, back and forth. So we're just looking for help. It's not just my mom, it's the whole building. Well, basically what really happened is it's divided. The white people have moved into the neighborhood and
this is like an HCIC building.
They fired them.
Uh-huh.
They fired them. The new board, the white members fired the HCC, and they are harassing the elderly and the African-American tenants. They are videotaping, they are sending notifications that are not court ordered. They are sending the maintenance fees back. They're just doing everything to harass the tenants in the building. There is a shareholder in the building who filed a lawsuit against the original board members, saying that they were actually racist. So he's had an issue with the board members for years. So now that there are more than one Caucasian person in the building, they have decided to come together and try to take over the building, where they conducted a meeting back in January without the original board members and elected their own board. And I don't know how they were able to take over management and fire everybody, but they did. So I'm not just looking for help from my mom. I'm looking for help for the entire building that they are harassing.
Right, okay. All right, so again, we're not gonna be able to resolve this tonight. So you're gonna have to just follow up in the morning. These are, I mean, you know, these HTC problems are common, and we can connect you again with someone, you know, who does and works with this. So what I'll do is I'll do the same with you that I just did, just to be able to cut to the chase so I can get you to the person that can really address this issue for you. So again, in the morning, you're going to call the 212-690-3070 number. You're going to speak with Culver, and he will connect you with me, and then I will connect you with who you need to speak to, okay?
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, you're welcome. And I think we're winding up with Michelle. There she is.
Oh my God. This meeting started at 6:45. I was on here at 6:42.
Well, you know, it's always
This is my first time.
Endurance that gets you to where you need to go. And they say patience is a virtue. So
Exactly.
you are a virtuous person.
And I'm a mother of 5, so my patience is the best.
All right, what do we got?
And I'm number 6 of 11.
All right, what do we got?
I live in Suffolk County, Long Island. Friday morning at 6:15, I went down my stairs. I let my 2 German Shepherds out my back door, which my back door, I have a 6-foot fence that I just got for my dogs because they are German Shepherds and they are 1 year old. I got the fence for the dogs. My fence, it locks. It is always locked. Once the fence is closed, you cannot get out of the back door. You cannot get out of the back fence. I let my dogs out. My dog Slim, he went out the door first. I heard my dog made a growl, and I heard somebody say, hey, hey, hey. Let Queen inside. Yeah, and let her inside of the room. No, don't let her through the house. You gotta let her down the open up the back door and the basement and make her go in the room.
Okay, Michelle.
I'm on the report, sorry. So the police was in my backyard. They shot Slim 3 times. They was looking for somebody who does not live here, who has not lived here in over 18 months. I called and made a complaint on this person because I woke up and they were inside of my house and I got attacked. Waking up, I got attacked. I called the police and made a complaint. They went to his girlfriend's house and knocked on her door. She is a white woman, by the way. Knocked on her door while U.S. Marshal, 7th Precinct, and parole was here. They gave me a piece of paper that told me that this was a warrant. The warrant did not have my address on it. The only thing the warrant said was that they was looking for Kevin Crenshaw. It did not have my address on it. I said to the lady, I'm the one who made the complaint on him. I was in Atlanta 2 months ago, and he made a phone call from my address while I was in Atlanta, and I knew that he was inside of my house. I called the 7th Precinct from my house. from my cell phone, and told them to go to my house because he was inside of my house. They did not come to my address. At the same time they was doing this raid on my house, they was knocking on the white woman's door. They shot my dog 3 times.
Well, you got, sorry, let's see. You have to unmute yourself again, Michelle.
I can't hear you.
There you go. Okay.
They shot my dog. I was able to hold my other dog back. Now, I just got, my dog did survive, thank God. He is really messed up, but he did survive. He's actually laying right here next to me. I just got him from the hospital yesterday.
Okay.
Now, the town has been coming here, harassing me, telling me that they giving me tickets because my other dog, they are litter mates. They never been away from each other. The doctor told me that having them both together is a no. So they both know that each other is in the house. So my one dog, Queen, is downstairs barking, going crazy because she know her brother is upstairs. They leaving stuff inside of my mailbox. Mind you, the person that they supposedly was looking for, this is for a parole violation for not being in the house at 9 o'clock at night.
Okay. And which township is this in Suffolk?
This is Mastic, 7th precinct.
All right.
So they did say that they was gonna be responsible for my dog bills. My house is destroyed. My dog bled out in 2 of my rooms, all throughout my dining room, my living room, everything. I had to throw my living room furniture away. He bled out in my living room for over 2 hours. He bled out in my house for over 2 hours. Then they tried to make me surrender my dog and give them my dog because they said that my dog bit a police officer. But they was in my yard, in my backyard. I had no clue that those cops was in my yard. I paid a lot of money. My dog is only a year old. He is messed up forever. His teeth are broken. We all sleeping in one room inside of a 4-bedroom house because my girls don't want to be in a bedroom. They text my brother and said the police shot my mother. Because they thought that the police shot me because it happened outside of my bedroom.
How did they get inside in the fenced area?
They broke in. They broke the whole fence. When I got to the front door, when I got the dogs, finally I grabbed Slim. I was able to get him back inside of the house. He was just squirting blood everywhere. I got him inside of the house and got him inside of the bedroom. I closed the door inside of the bedroom. When I got to the front door and I opened the front door, a black metal piece hit the ground. They damaged my front door, can't lock. I got a chair sitting against my front door right now because my front door can't lock and stay secured locked.
Nobody called the police. Michelle,
they
nobody
never gave me. They never had a. They only had a personal warrant. They never had a search warrant.
Michelle, hold 1 second. Jeff, go ahead.
I was just asking, Michelle, did anyone call that day from the house regarding this person that you had a warrant for?
No, it was me and my 2 girls and my daughter's
You called
friend.
2 months ago, but there was nothing. He had not been there since.
No, and the police, every time he come here, I'm the one that calls them and tell him that he came here.
All right, Michelle. So, I mean, I don't practice out in Suffolk County, but I do know someone that might be able to help you if you want to give me a call tomorrow. Okay?
And now they keep giving me tickets. And now they saying that if they give me another ticket, I'm gonna have to go to court.
Right.
But I gotta keep the dogs separate because
Right.
Slim, he shot. He gotta heal.
No, we understand.
My living room, my dining room, my bathroom, my son's bedroom, all from my back foyer, all of that, the carpet, I got tan carpet, it's completely ruined. It's all blood. The walls, everything is just done.
Okay.
Take
All right,
pictures
so
of everything.
And he sat in the room and bled out for over 2 hours. So he tore the carpet up in the room, the screen, everything. He was just tearing the room up while he was in the room bleeding out. Him and his sister, they made me put them inside of the room while they searched my house.
Michelle, so Attorney Emden has indicated that he will speak with you and then connect you to someone who can possibly help. So let's take that as the next step. And we obviously all feel the pain of the situation, and rightfully so. So let's follow up and do that. Jeff, is your number in the chat? Okay.
It's there. It's in the chat.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
It was
okay.
there earlier.
So make sure you take that down. He said that you can call him tomorrow. Okay.
I'm gonna send him my contact information right now as well, but I'm definitely calling him in the morning because today the internal affairs called my phone. They said they're gonna come here tomorrow. They like trying to pressure me to do stuff. They asked me to surrender my dog. They kept trying to pressure me to sign the paper to surrender my dog, but I told them no. I did get my dog back.
Right.
And they're responsible for the dog bill just for Slim.
Yeah,
but
no.
Queen is acting
Understood.
like
So,
it's
Michelle,
that's not
follow up with Jeff in the morning, okay? And we will take it from there. All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much. All right, everyone.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
What a night. This was a great night. And in particular, because number one, we had a fantastic presentation from Attorney Royce Russell, and we thank him for that. We should all give him a hand or put the hands up or whatever that is. We always want to thank the attorneys, Joel Schmelken, Jeff Emden. Who else was with us?
Gilbert.
Kenneth Gilbert. All of the attorneys that give up their time, because they all do it pro bono. And so we thank them tremendously for giving up their time. But most importantly, we really thank you, because you are the people that come on to participate in the program, to share with us the situations that you need help with. And we want to follow through and help you try to get the assistance that you need. So we thank all of you. We appreciate you. We did run over. Normally we try not to run over, because again, we don't want to lose the attorneys from participating, nor do we want to lose some of you. But we really appreciate all of you being with us tonight. Again, I think the last Thursday in May is May 27th. Is that right?
Right. May 27th.
All right. So last Thursday of the month of May is May 27th. We will see you again. We want to thank all of you. We want to thank all of our staff here at National Action Network for making it possible for all of this to come to you. God bless you. Follow up as directed, and we will see you all on May 27th. Thank you so much, and good night.
And don't forget, every Saturday, Saturday Action Rally, 9 to 11. And from 11:30 to 1, we do crisis intake. So let your friends know.
Can you send the link?
Send the link for what?
The National Action
For
Network.
Saturday.
It's for the rally. It's the website, Facebook, nationalactionnetwork.net is the website. Or you can go to Facebook at National Action Network, Instagram, and Twitter at National Action Network. And you just tap in. Join the website so we could get on the email list. So you can get all the emails that we send out daily. multiple times a day. But crisis, 11:30 Saturday to 1 o'clock every Saturday at the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street. We look forward to having you. Thank you.
All right, good night, everyone. And again, my dear sister, Nia 2X, we thank you for being with us. God bless you. And of course, as Nia will tell us, the Honorable Reverend Dr. will be coming to you live on WLIV 1190 AM on Saturday morning. So we will see you then. Again, thank you. God bless.
Love you, Nia. Good to
night.
see you, baby.